So come take a look. Give me the hook or the ovation.
Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all keeping safe and well, and welcome to my roundup for March, which has been a bit of a mixed month for me in a few ways. We lost our Virgin Media service entirely for the best part of a week, which wasn't very helpful. I was able to kind of work via the hotspot on my phone, luckily, but even that was a bit slower. So yeah, it took Virgin like 5 days to come and fix it, which I'm not very impressed by because we are on the list as priority customers, but it wasn't their fault, it had gone down anyway, but there's still no excuse for them for taking that long. But we are all back online now, which is good anyway. And then the other thing is, of course, the disability benefit cuts that the government have been talking about, cutting PIP and changing the criteria so fewer people get it and all that, and trying to kind of conflate it with putting people back into work as well, even though PIP and being awarded that and what it's used for has nothing to do with work, and indeed it helps people get into work in the first place. It helps them to look for work and stuff like that. But yeah, the government just don't seem to understand it, and they're kind of deliberately fueling misinformation really and misconceptions and things just to try and get their kind of point across. But they come across as incredibly patronising and dismissive. And yes, they have opened up a consultation, and I think they have finally released all the accessible versions to go with it, I gather now, which has taken them a long time since they initially published the green paper. But they're not going to listen. They haven't been listening so far, even though we've made it abundantly clear as a community and with all the charities and that support us that these plans are just disastrous. They're just not listening. They just want to push through these savings anyway. It's all about saving money, not about caring for disabled people. But I'm not going to kind of rant about that here. I've done that in my blog. There's a big blog post I recommend you read to get an insight into it all, because there is a lot of misinformation on social media and in the press as well in some ways, and even from the government themselves. So yeah, if you want an insight into kind of PIP and how it might affect me, and have a look at the green paper and stuff, then check out my blog post. I'll link to that in the description, obviously. But yeah, apart from that, there is good stuff to talk about, I'm happy to say. I have been out and seen a couple of my favourite entertainers live for the first time, which is really cool. I really enjoyed that. And there are a few bits and pieces I've been enjoying at home in terms of entertainment as well. So there's a fair amount to cover here. It's fairly short, relatively speaking, this post, as some of mine have been lately, I know. But yeah, I hope you enjoy what I've got on offer here. As ever, there's more detail in the blog post to go with this, and none of it's sponsored or gifted. So yeah, let's just crack on with the good stuff, and I hope you enjoy. So first of all, I went to see one of my favourite comedians, Michael McIntyre, at the Duchess Theatre, which is where they normally hold the Play That Goes Wrong. So I've been there before that venue. But yeah, Michael McIntyre is one of my favourite comedians. I've written about him recently in my blog as well, going through all his stand-up specials. And this is the first time I finally got around to seeing him live, and it was really, really good. He's incredibly funny. And I was able to get a front row seat as well, central front row seat, because this show was only announced a couple of weeks ahead of time, because it was kind of a refresher, kind of warm-up gig for him, really, before he resumed his Macnificent tour in Malta, and he's going to Ireland and other places as well. So he'd been off stage for a few months. He'd had a little break beginning of the year, so he just needed to refresh himself a little bit. So he was a little bit rusty here and there, just on a couple of occasions really, nothing he really cared about. But because he'd been upfront about it from the start as well, then we all forgave him, and he was just on top form in general anyway, really. So yeah, he was really funny. Some of his material I had seen on the TV before in his 25th anniversary special that he'd done, but some of that was a bit extended as well, and then there's also a lot of new material too. So it was a great mixture. It was really, really good, as I say. So in terms of the material I'd seen on TV, he talked about drinking wine with his wife, trying to start a diet in America, bedroom issues relating to their mattress and pitch darkness and noisy stomachs, that kind of thing. He would have liked to do his silent letters routine as well, which is really, really funny, but that's kind of gone viral online now with millions of views, so everyone knows it. So he can't really do that routine anymore, which is a bit of a shame for him, I think. But he also did plenty of topics that I hadn't heard him talk about before as well, including the unusual features of weather apps, the notifications he gets from his Apple products, the reason he now wears a second ring on his hand, and the strange combination of videos he's been addicted to on TikTok, thanks to the algorithm recommending various things to him. And then there was also a section that was completely new to him as well, because he fished out some notes and tried it out on us, and it was actually really good. So if you ever hear him talking about things like cocktails, peacocks and breaststroke and tit for tat and stuff like that, then we saw it first. We were privy to that first. And yeah, I think there's definitely the bones of a great routine there. He had it quite well kind of fleshed out already in some ways. But yeah, it was interesting to see him try something different like that. He did also talk to a couple of people in the front couple of rows early on, but he doesn't generally do audience interaction at his stand-up shows, so it was very brief at the beginning. But yeah, it was nice to see him interact with people a little bit. And yeah, it was just an amazing show. I was laughing constantly throughout and genuinely crying with laughter a few times. It was just fantastic. He's really, really good. But also his support act deserves a shout out as well, Jake Lambert, because he was very good as well. Some support acts are kind of a bit hit and miss. They do the job in kind of getting you in the mood, but they're nothing particularly exceptional. But Jake Lambert, he gave a very solid 20 minutes, mainly centered around him being autistic, or more specifically how everyone else around him saw the signs that he was autistic long before he did. But he also talked about having trouble with small talk, why he doesn't like phoning home, why older ghosts are better than the ones will become, neck tattoos, and the differences he's noticed between British and American people and culture. So yeah, it was a nice, well-rounded set from him as well. So if you ever see Jake Lambert on tour, go and buy a ticket for him as well. I can recommend that. I might try and go and see him myself at some point. He's very good. And then towards the end of the month, I saw John Barrowman live, which was again a fantastic show. He is basically a stage performer first and foremost. He's done lots of different theatre shows. Yes, he came to public prominence as Captain Jack Harkness in Doctor Who and Torchwood, which is where I know him from, and I love him in that. And I've just recently watched all 4 series of Torchwood again, because it's a great series. It's a great spin-off from Doctor Who, and I've reviewed all 4 series on my blog, which you can go and see. But he is basically a stage performer at heart, and you can see that he belongs there. He's just a fantastic performer. He basically told stories about his life and his career, and interspersed them with songs to illustrate it all. And it was just a very nice mixture, really entertaining, really funny a lot of the time as well. And this was the final show in his Laid Bare tour, which is basically his return to the stage after he's been away from the limelight due to all the allegations that came out in the press about his behaviour on Doctor Who, a lot of which was basically malicious and false and basically just dragged him through the mud for no good reason. It was just retelling stories that he told himself in his books before. Everyone knew what he was like back then. Nobody had a problem with it. Yes, he said it's not behaviour he would do now, but it basically wasn't engaging in the behaviour that the press were accusing him of anyway. So yeah, it was a great shame that he was treated in the way he was. So it's great to see him back on stage where he belongs, and it just shows that he still has the fan base, because the crowd absolutely loved him. Every single show in his tour has been very popular, so they're going to stream one of the shows in future as well, and he's thinking of doing a Christmas tour. So he's definitely getting back on track again, which is fantastic. This show's kind of been therapy for him. So yeah, as I say, it's a shame that he was treated that way, and he did devote a section to the show talking about that. He read for some pre-prepared notes to help him, but he also interspersed it with lyrics from the song Skyscraper that he sang as well, and he just spoke about all the stages he'd been through and all that kind of thing. And it was very moving, really, especially towards the end when he choked up and thanked us, his fan family, for still believing in him and coming to see his shows. And we gave him a big standing ovation at the end, because how could you not? It was just really good. But yeah, the rest of the time, the whole rest of the show was basically very upbeat and very entertaining and very funny. His stories included why he married his partner Scott 3 times, how he made a mess of himself during a car journey. There was an incident during a play where a lady fell off stage and they improvised around it, despite the fact they were finding it hilarious. He talked about how he was friends with Bernard Cribbins, who played Wilfred in Doctor Who, of course, and why he didn't play by the rules when he went to auditions. He kind of did his own thing, and it often worked. There was a Q&A section with the audience as well, which was quite entertaining. There was another embarrassing stage story that came out of that, and he talked about the significance of a cuddly toy, and there was an amusing game of kiss, shag or marry, and I kind of agreed with his answers on that, to be honest. And along the way, he sang various songs, such as Listen to the Music, 1,000 Years, which is a lovely Christina Perry song that my friend used at his wedding, and John noted how he's heard of people using his version at various weddings as well. Love Changes Everything, Don't Rain on My Parade, The Man of La Mancha, Beautiful City, and I Won't Send Roses. And as I say, he performed Skyscraper as well when he was talking about his harder times more recently. And then he finished the show by singing I Am What I Am, which was very appropriate. And I'll include a clip from that at the end of this video, because he allowed us to film it. So the clip you're going to see was with permission. Yeah, it was just a really well-rounded show, really entertaining, really funny, and at times very moving as well. It was just very heartfelt, and you could tell he was just being very frank and honest and just open about himself. And yeah, it's wonderful to see him back, and I hope he does more tours like that. And certainly I'll try and go to see him again, because he is brilliant. So yeah, welcome back, John Barrowman. Whether we see him in Doctor Who again or not seems unlikely, but we can hope. But certainly he belongs back on stage, and it's great to see him doing that again. So moving on to entertainment I've enjoyed at home, and as I just mentioned, I've completed all 4 series of Torchwood, which is the adult spin-off from Doctor Who. So you can read my reviews of all 4 series on my blog. Nice big long post for you to look at there. And there's a couple of playlists I've done here on YouTube as well, various clips. So yeah, there's plenty for you to go through there if you're interested in that. And that basically completes my reviews of Russell T Davies's first era as showrunner of Doctor Who, because I've done the Christopher Eccleston and David Tennant series from that era as well already. So yeah, I'm going to be moving on to Stephen Moffat's era with Matt Smith as the 11th Doctor soon. But obviously before that, we've got season 2 of the current iteration of Doctor Who with Ncuti Gatwa. I haven't watched the trailer for it because I'm trying to kind of be surprised as much as possible. I've seen little bits, so I kind of know vaguely 1 or 2 little bits that are coming, but I've avoided as much detail as I can. So I'm really looking forward to that, to see what it's like, especially as we've got a new companion as well. And then on Saturday nights, I've been enjoying Gladiators. This second series has been really, really good. Definitely a step up from series 1, which was already good in itself. We've got new events and new gladiators, and the contestants have really been knocking it out of the park with some really impressive performances. There's been big surprises in every episode, and we're just about to come up to the grand final, which I'm really looking forward to. That's going to be an epic contest. So yeah, I'm really glad Gladiators is back. It's been a great Saturday night entertainment comeback that I was hoping it would be, and they have been advertising for contestants for the next series, which bodes well. So let's hope they keep it going for a while, because I think the BBC have got a big hit on their hands with that. And then in terms of comedy, I've enjoyed The Last Leg and Would I Lie to You as usual during March, of course. But I didn't bother watching the Comic Relief Telethon. I haven't watched that for a few years now. She just doesn't appeal to me anymore these days. It's easier just to pick up 1 or 2 things online that look vaguely interesting. So I did see their Not Going Out and Beyond Paradise crossover sketch online, which centres around the fact that Sally Bretton plays a character in both shows, although I've only ever seen her as Lucy in Not Going Out. I've never seen Beyond Paradise, which is actually a spin-off from Death in Paradise, which I've also never seen. But you don't really need to have seen it. It's still fairly amusing. It's not an amazing sketch, but Lee Mack is in it. He always has some good lines, and yeah, it was okay. It's not something I'd watch again, but yeah, it was mildly entertaining. And then going back to theatre stuff, and I really enjoyed the Big Night of Musicals, which is now in its 4th year on the telly. This is sponsored by the National Lottery and hosted by Jason Manford, who is perfect for this, and he performed himself singing the very apt song called A Musical from Something Rotten with Daniel Mays, which celebrates the joys and the different variations in musical theatre, and there was a lot of humour in there, which was good. It also included a cameo from Michael Ball, who later gave a beautiful performance of a song called The Impossible Dream with the Our Dementia Choir, which was set up by Vicky McClure. So that was a really nice performance as well. In terms of some of the sections in between the songs, there's one particular one I liked, which was all about audio-described theatre, introduced by Chris McCausland, the blind comedian who I've mentioned before. And yeah, it was just great to see that promoted, because it's done so much for me. It's made so many shows accessible to me that I just would never have been able to see and enjoy before. So yeah, it does mean a lot to me, and it's great that they promoted it on the show there, so it got a wide audience, wide awareness. But beyond all of that, there were lots of other great performances as well. I particularly liked the songs from Mary Poppins, Chicago, Calamity Jane, Cabaret and Bat Out of Hell. And there are also good performances from shows like Hercules, Mean Girls, Here and Now, The Steps Musical, Titanic and Dear Evan Hansen. So it was a really good mixture of stuff. There was definitely something for everyone in there. And yeah, it's just great to see musicals being promoted in that way, because they're fantastic bits of escapism. They're great pieces of theatre. And then moving on to an audiobook, and my mother and I are listening to the 2nd instalment in the Blind Detective series by Christina Koenig. My friend Claire very kindly bought us the first book as a Christmas gift, so we very much enjoyed that and decided to do the second one as well, which is called Murder in Regent's Park. It's all about a series of murders where Braille playing cards are left at the scene of the crime. So blind war veteran Frederick Rowlands is brought in by Chief Inspector Douglas to help find the culprit, and it's really good. There's some nice twists and turns along the way. We haven't finished it yet, so I can't say if the ending's any good, but yeah, it's been really interesting so far, and again, really well written, because it's about a blind guy. It's very descriptive in the way that things are portrayed, so yeah, we're really enjoying that. It's really well written. And then finally, on what might seem a really nerdy note, but I don't care, think what you like, I've bought an album by David Lowe, who you might never have heard of, but I guarantee you will have heard a lot of his compositions, because he is responsible for the music on BBC News, for all the countdown music and all the title themes and all the beds that go into the headlines, all that kind of stuff, all the kind of sound design you hear in terms of music on BBC News, he is responsible for, because he makes great use of the pips, and he's done all sorts of different variations, and they're great tunes in their own right. And he has now, after a lot of demand over time, released some of his music for the BBC News themes as an album, and it is a really good album. Actually, it's really solid. You've got the countdown music in there, which is really good. I've also really liked the Eastern Asia versions of that countdown. They're quite punchy pieces of music. And there's an Abbey Road mix, which was used for countdowns on more sombre occasions, like the Queen's death. And there's compilations of earlier 2000s pieces as well, and it's just a really enjoyable album. Yeah, so if you're a little bit nerdy or you like the BBC News themes, then yeah, I can actually recommend it. It's a nice compilation, that. And that is it. That is all I have to mention for March. I hope you enjoyed that and found bits and pieces of interest in there as per usual, despite it being quite a short video. In terms of April, I've got various bits and pieces in the calendar that I'm really looking forward to doing, so I hope I can get around to doing all of that. I'm really looking forward to season 2 of Doctor Who as well, and then after that I'll get into like the Matt Smith era and going back to that. But I know what I'm going to review alongside Doctor Who as well. There's something else I'm planning to watch, so I'm always thoroughly entertained. I've always got things planned that I'm going to watch, so I know what I'm going to get into next. And yeah, that's it really. That's what I have to mention for this video. Looking ahead further than that, I have got plans for the year in terms of stuff I'm doing and stuff we've got planned at home as well. So things are looking good, things are looking positive in various ways, but who knows what time will bring. We'll just see what happens. But yeah, I hope you're having fun as well, whatever you're getting up to, and I'll leave it there really. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe as per usual, and I will see you for another video very soon. Here's John Barrowman to finish us off. Bye for now.